Part 1. Ordinary Origins.
You know, when I heard this story, Margaret was actually the first person that I wanted to speak to. I mean, can you imagine getting this entire story through a series of letters? I had to know what she thought.
In the beginning, the letters were normal. Nothing to cause alarm, updates of Bobby's travels, like the weather, the crew, the exploration. But then there's Victor. I was concerned. I think most people would be. Here's my brother who has fled on some expedition to the North Pole to better mankind, and now all of a sudden he's like adopting this strange sick man. That's when the letters really started coming in. Each was more cryptic than the last. It felt like every day I was receiving something new. Just met Victor, Victor's childhood, Victor's mom died, Victor leaves for school, Victor.
How many letters did Victor write?
Too many to count. No return address, no, hey sis, how are you? No, just letter after letter about Victor Frankenstein. I couldn't have cared less. Admittedly, I did read them all. I was worried about my brother. Frankenstein sounded like an absolute freak. Turns out, I was right.
I think it's crucial for us to start in the beginning. I had so many questions about Victor's childhood. I couldn't imagine it had always been so dark. So there lied the question, what brings us here?
Yeah, he was a weird kid, but when you're young, you don't really think about what that can be in the future.
Victor was always a very curious child. You couldn't catch him without a book in his hand. He was always testing things. I remember when we were young, he wanted to cut things open, animals mostly, see what was inside. I guess I should have known then. It was all just so innocent. Just Victor.
Victor had just lost his mother, and I think we have to remember that. When we start examining someone as compulsive and perhaps narcissistic as Victor, we typically start in their childhood. And when we start examining the childhood, we presumably see a happy, well-adjusted boy who has just undergone a great psychological trauma. Victor shows signs of deep internal conflict, which perhaps stem from the unresolved grief surrounding his mother's death. I would venture to say that his obsession with creating life has to do with his fear of death.
It all started on that sad hour. Mom she didn't wake up. I couldn't look at her anymore. Weeks went by, months went by. I couldn't look at my father the same. He wouldn't give me the time of day. My brothers, they didn't share my ideals. They called me a freak. So I left home. I knew I was something, I had calling. I thought if I could restore life to what it was, I could bring Mother back to where life was good. It was just too much to bear. I had to take a journey.
Professor, what can you tell me about Victor?
I remember Victor. I remember when he first came to me, he said he wanted to study science. And he was just a firecracker. He was just someone that really stuck, I knew he was really going to be someone.
Are you serious? That was said? All I can say about him is that I could see from the get-go that he was a ticking time bomb, not a firecracker. and he was absolutely insane. He was asking me questions about science and life and death, and I could see a darkness within him that I wanted no part of, and I could not ignite that fire.
After I started my journey, I just started studying with Waldman, and I couldn't get enough of it. It's just, I started getting all these ideas, and I had to exercise these ideas, and just couldn't get enough of it. So I started messing around, and I created something beautiful.
So how did you do it?
Like finding a needle in the haystack. You just can't.
Yeah, the graves kept coming undone. There was dirt everywhere, a lot of holes. I thought it was some sort of like animal, maybe like a coyote. I'm not really too sure.
You didn't notice
The missing body parts? No.
So were you around that night?
Yeah, I heard him too. There was a lot of yelling. I filed a few noise complaints back then, but nothing came into fruition. They blamed it on the storm. Never in my life could I have imagined what was really going on in that house.
Yeah, we got a few calls, a paranoid gravedigger, a tired neighbor. That's all it was to us then. Of course, had we known, things would have looked a lot different.
Did it bother you what people might have thought?
I don't care what people think. You don't understand the rush when you see the life of a lifeless corpse come back from the darkness. That rush. You don't understand what that's like until you have it.
No one remembers what it's like to take their first breath. I do. It's exhilarating, yet terrifying. Victor could have helped me, if he wanted to. Maybe things wouldn't have been so terrible if he did, but he didn't.
All right, ready?
It was a complete failure. It's disgusting. Couldn't talk. Could barely walk, and I figured I made a terrible mistake. The next thing I remember is getting a letter from my father that William was dead.
It was just an awful day at the house. We were all just shattered at the news. To think that little William was no longer with us, it was all just so confusing. Why had God taken him?
I never wanted to kill that boy, but when I heard of his relation to Victor, I didn't think I had a choice.
I went home as soon as I could, and by the time I got back, Justine was already preparing for her trial.
What you are about to see is uncovered footage from Justine's investigation.
Tell me again, Justine, where were you the day of the murder?
I was gone. I had taken off work to visit a relative. I wasn't there. I would never kill him. I swear I would never.
How do you explain the locket then?
I don't know where it came from. It was just there. I would never kill him. You have to believe me.
She confessed not even a day later. You know what she told me before she did? She said, I don't want to go to hell. The worst part is I almost believed it was her, but it didn't fit. It never fit. I told Victor that. He had his chance to tell me the truth time and time again. He chose not to.
Did you suspect anything?
I mean, look, my job is to solve crimes. This one was pretty straightforward. The evidence was incriminating. Clearly I hadn't accounted for a 6'8" creature on my list of suspects.
After Justine's execution, I think we see Victor really retreat into isolation. What I see is a man so completely consumed by guilt. He just believes that her death solely rest on him. But rather than confronting his family with the truth and seeking their consolation, I think that Victor really just distances himself. He heads into the mountains because the presence of his family only mirrors his own perceived failures, and the isolation that he finds is both an escape and a punishment that he believes that he deserves. I think the irony of it all is that I think he could have really found a path towards healing if he had chosen it and pursued it. But instead he just internalizes that guilt so deeply that it becomes a part of his innermost being. I think this is ultimately what fractures him. I think maybe the madness began with the creation, but it's this that really allows it to take root inside of him.